We'll come back to them. So that takes us to the treasurer. Annelle,
Yes.
time for your report.
Okay. Well, I apologize. As I said in my email, sometimes my procrastination knows no bounds. So my actual financial report didn't go out until about 1 today, but I knew there wasn't much to it. And a lot of things had not cleared the bank. Has everyone gotten the financial report? As you'll see, there's not much on there, but there are two major expenses. Our PMP for the remainder of the year is $951, and that has not cleared. I wrote a reimbursement check to Debbie Noble for $600, and that has not cleared. And then we have one new member who was on, I didn't get it until it was too late to get in the bank. Ann Kowalczyk, I think that's how you pronounce it. She's an individual member. And thank you very much, Catherine Oler, for becoming the newest member of the Centennial Club. That was $101, and that is not on the report either. Let's see. I think that's it for the financial end of my report. I would like to, however, in my email, I did note that we need to put a budget committee together very quickly and get started with the proposed budget for 2021-2022. I'm late in getting that started. I think I should have started in February, but thanks to Ann for giving me that reminder. We need someone to chair that committee. I put an email out to Mary Kay Fant, who is just a genius at doing helping with the spreadsheet side of that. And last year Chris was the chair, and between the two of them they really did a lot of good work, but they shouldn't have to do it every year. We need 2 members of the board, and at least 2 members of the board. No, I'm thinking of the Financial Review Committee. I didn't see in the bylaws how many people we actually needed for that. There's a Financial Review Committee, which starts in June. That one requires 2 board members and 2 off-board members. So I'm not real worried about that yet. I will follow up on it. But I would truly, truly love to hear from those of you who are interested in the budget committee. And what happens is we take the financial report as it is now with the budget included, and we start looking at expenses and income, and working into that we put the things that I'm sorry, we keep going with things that are there every year, like the post office and PMP, the per member payments, and credit card fees. Usually there's monthly meeting lunches and the annual meeting, and so there are these things that we can set a budget amount for. And then there's income, which consists of member dues and gifts to the league, the annual meeting payments that we get when we do have a dinner, and community support contributions, advertisements in the voter, etc. So we start there. Excuse me. We start there and try to project what the expenses and the income will be for the following year, and that's how we come up with our budget. Then we also factor in any expenses. I think the main issue this year will be Club Express. and Debbie's going to fill us in on that, some of that. So if any of you present are interested in helping with that initial committee, the budget committee, then please email me. And if I don't hear from anybody, I'll just start making phone calls. Recruitment calls, I should say.
Nell, would you
yes?
put Mary Kate on your list to call for sure?
I have contacted her and I'm waiting on a response.
Great. We
Yes.
want some experience on this group,
Oh,
as well
man.
as having maybe some new people.
Yeah.
So they'll be ready to stay another year or two.
Yeah.
And then their experience. What about, since I don't see all the hands going up, can you tell me who's raising hands today?
Chris Garcia.
I was just going to suggest, you know, it doesn't have to be board members. It's really just someone who loves numbers and loves to project, and at least one person on the committee that has some history of the previous year. But Colleen Johnson, Lisa Cuevas, some of those that have been, we haven't seen much of them this year because of COVID, but they have an interest. And, you know, if you want to reach out to some of those, that'd be great too.
Great. Don't suppose you have any interest in it again this year, do you, Chris? I know we're leaning on you heavily.
Oh, I never say no, but
well,
my only strength would be looking back a couple of years. For instance, voter services is a little lighter this coming year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just looking back and saying, let's not forget the annual conference for Texas LWV in case it's held, you know, and so remembering things that might not be in this year's budget, but ought to be in the next year's budget.
Okay.
So I can be a silent partner.
Okay.
Now,
well, let's put her on.
It's Liz Riggle. If you want someone who's not a number cruncher, but who can just read well, I'll be happy to do that. So
awesome.
If you want to put me on there, I'll be happy to do it. Like I said, I'm not a number cruncher, percentages.
You don't really have to be. You just have to be able to look at the budget and say, what have we done? What are we expecting?
Okay, because I can balance a checkbook beautifully,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Sally?
Cut me down to Anil. I'm not a numbers person, but I've got imagination.
Okay, Sally Ferris, thank you.
Good. So you have Chris and Sally and Liz, and you have a call in to Mary Kate.
And I have a call in to Mary Kay. And I will put out a member blast to look for a couple of off-board people.
Terrific.
And there is, out of the group that we get, we will look for a chair. And Chris, does a chair have to be a member of the board?
No,
No.
I don't think the bylaws specifies.
Okay.
And that person must be willing to give the report, you know, the proposed budget at the annual meeting. And some people don't like to speak in public, so
right,
you know, that needs to be you'll do this if you're chair.
yes. And I'm definitely a part of that, and willing to give as much time to that committee as needed.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. So
I think that's it. That's it from me.
all right. So we're accepting the treasurer's report, and we have this new piece of information. We have the committee together, and we're moving on to Debbie Noble to talk about Club Express.
All right. So after reading all about this, I emailed out some resources, and I also put them in the chat box. It's a link to the PDF, which is really just a promotional brochure, and also a video. And I've also talked to some of the people at state. And as much as it pains me to say this, I really think I'm going to have to go through this again. We are going to have to go through this again and switch our website platform again. So this is, and this is why. It is being used and promoted by both the National League of Women Voters and the state of Texas State of League of Women Voters. And although our current website does a lot of the same things, Club Express is going to add a ton of functionality that's going to help people like Anel and people like Sander, whoever, you know, takes those jobs in the future. It has member and donor management, which was currently basically done by hand, as I'm sure Sandra can explain. Right now, when you go on our website and you join, all it does is send an email to the treasurer, who then forwards the email to the membership person, who then like hand enters it into another database. So this is going to make it all seamless and all work together. It will include emails, even the national and state paying of the PMP. That will all be done seamlessly through the system, and you won't have to be doing it individually and figuring it out later. It'll also keep track of volunteer opportunities. Also, it will have rolling membership dates, so it won't just be May to April for everybody. It can be whenever you join, and so it'll help us keep track of all of that. If we try to integrate this functionality of Club Express with our current Milo system, which we have now, like in theory we could do that, but then we'd be paying for two platforms that are separate. And although they say they work together, they don't really, they're separate things. So I talked to Grace Shaman, who does the website for the State League, and we both expressed our distress that we were having to do this again so soon, but both agreed that we had to do it. What else? Okay, so if we do it now or soon, we can take advantage of the state is doing a starter pack incentive program, which is worth almost $1,000 to set it up. As you, like, I just got reimbursed for the setup for the last time, which was $600. This one is like over $900. So I think that they are going to pay for that, and they pay for the first year hosting fee, which is about $240. So it's going to end up being about $240 a year, which is about what we were paying before anyway. Only this time they'll pay the first year and they'll pay that setup fee. So we just need to tell them. I've already emailed them and asked them what to do, and they said as soon as we as a board vote to go ahead and do it, they'll give me my first steps and tell us what to do. I'm willing to take it on. I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to help all the other committee members learn how to use their parts. That would be the membership service parts, the email parts, whatever else we need to do. And anyway, that's what I have to say. So does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. Deb?
Yeah.
What is the time frame that you might foresee on this, looking into the future? What the transition period might be?
That's a good question. We have to tell the State League by June, I think. Well, I want to tell them as soon as possible. They get a grant to do this money, and that isn't necessarily going to be renewed next year. So we want to make sure that we get in on it now. And then I know the state is putting together some like templates and a toolkit for those of us to make it easier for us to put together. But I see this happening this year.
Yeah, and so I think the state is planning on doing the rollout in June, but I think Club Express has like a 30 or 60 day free trial. So I think people were asking about that, if they should hop on in April, May.
Yeah.
And so in effect, we would get, 2 additional months.
I'm going to do whatever the State League recommends.
Okay.
I'm going to recommend that we do whatever they recommend.
Debbie,
Yes, Sandra.
have you got a list of other organizations that are using Club Express that you can share?
I don't know, because Club Express, I mean, I know other organizations use them, but our league has forged a separate partnership with them. So whatever they're doing for us may or may not be exactly what they're doing for other.
Isn't it like Dallas or some League of Women Voters within Texas is already using it? I think it was Dallas and maybe somebody out west.
I think that's right, Paula. And also they told us that we were sent a link where you can go in and they have a presentation, I believe, Debbie, isn't that right? Where you can see, it kind of explains the Club Express and that would be
I put a
probably
link
good.
in the chat box and I emailed it out.
Perfect.
And the League of Women Voters of Colorado is already using it. So
I would like to make a motion that we go ahead at this meeting and approve going forward with Club Express as soon as Debbie finds out that we are eligible to begin. And if that's immediately, so be it. But I think the earlier that we can get into it, like Debbie said, the easier the transition will be.
Yep.
Can I make that
second.
motion?
All right.
Got a second from Catherine Oler, Liz.
All right. Any other discussion? Questions?
I have a
Is there
question.
call for this?
Go ahead, Alice. Alice, what?
Yes, is this going to be an annual renewal, or is this
Yes.
going to, are we committing to this
Well, yes, but we pay an annual fee to any platform we've ever used, and this is roughly the same amount we pay every year anyway. It's just to a different and more functional platform.
Okay, all right, thanks.
That's a good question. Yeah, we have paid $250 a year anyway, and it's actually a per person payment, but it's a minimum of 240, and since we only have 100 members, we're not, unless we get up to 240, it's not going to be any more than that.
Sally?
Debbie, well, what is our opportunity for saving our documents? Because, you know, if we transition.
All of our documents are saved. None of our documents are embedded in the website. All of our documents are on a Google Drive. They're not on the website. They're all already archived and saved.
Okay, so our documents will transition to the new website.
Yes.
Without any delay.
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
Well, however long it takes me to switch everything over, but yes.
Super.
And we won't lose any of them, I promise.
And I would also like to state on behalf of Sandra, who had to step away, that the membership function has, excuse me again, the members can go online if they move, change their phone number, do whatever. They edit their own membership site. And so that, Sandra and I just went through the entire membership list and made sure, oh, you are here, Sandra.
Yes, he called. I missed the call. I hope he's still on the way. I'm waiting for the plumber. So.
But anyway.
That's right. And sometimes if it's a renewal and all I did was change the date, because sometimes I didn't get a form on a renewal. It was just a check.
They just send a check.
I would just change their expiration date. But now what we discovered the last couple of days working our two databases is that there are new addresses and phone numbers. I'm working on that. I didn't get it finished today, but I will. And it should be in great shape to transfer to Club Express.
This should make whoever does membership services going into the future, should make their job infinitely easier, simpler.
I invited Sylvia Campos, and she's in Cancun.
Oh.
It's too bad.
But it also,
she's actually not for recreation. She's assisting somebody with the medical procedure.
One more thing, member blasts are also much easier to gather and send out. If you read the information, it's really worth going through the information Debbie sent the link for, if you haven't already, and see all of the possibilities that are there with it.
This is Liz. We need to go back with that motion that's been to approve using Club Express as soon as possible, and it was made by Annelle. It was seconded by Catherine. We need. Anne, are we going to vote on that? Or are we going to wait till the end, or what are we doing?
I'm asking for someone to call the question.
I'll call the question.
All right.
Yeah,
so
because you need to end the
debate
first.
All right. Is there? Let's just try this. Is there anyone against moving forward with Club Express? Raise your hand. Annelle, what do you see?
I don't see any hands.
There are no objections to doing this, so we will take that as acclamation for accepting and moving forward with it.
All right, I will go ahead and email the state and tell them that we're in and find out our next steps, and I'll let you all know, and I'll move forward.
Great.
Terrific. Thank
you
you
very much.
And thanks to everybody who's been working on this. Catherine, you're on.
May I say one more thing? Mary Kay Fant just texted me back, and she's in. Yes.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Okay, Catherine, now you're on.
Okay, I'm going to talk just briefly about, and I want Julie to chime in here. This is a joint effort, and we did our first second Saturday last month, and we had, I believe, about 12 people participating, you know, kind of in and out. And it we had originally thought we would come in and sort of do a presentation that Julie had very nicely put together. But when it came down to it, we thought, let's just talk. Let's see what everyone who was participating, what your issues were, what you wanted to gain from this experience. And I tell you what, I think I speak for everyone who attended, the 10 to 12 people who attended. It was just really invigorating to hear what people wanted to do, to hear what people have done. And so we felt, very affirmed that we didn't go ahead with our, PowerPoint presentation, that the people had the opportunity to visit and to exchange ideas. And that was just incredible, we felt like. And one of the things that, we've got another one coming up in a little over a week, and the second of our second Saturdays. And so we really look at basically taking the same approach. What was your engagement during this time? We've got 2 more. We're counting down on those 140 days. And so we already know that there are some issues that are not going to be covered, things not put to rest or passed in this current legislative session, and there will be special sessions. But there are, exciting things that are happening. One of the topics that came up in our discussion, and I think it's germane to talk about this to this group. And one of those is that in the redistricting, one of the things that we were thinking about is, what are the communities of interest in our area, in our region? And so it wasn't clear cut for us to identify those. And so we would welcome your input. Is this something that we can take back to Second Saturdays, discuss and say, okay, maybe this is something, in redistricting that we need to see. One of the things I'm thinking, Sally, particularly about you and the collection of zip codes are these neighborhoods in Corpus Christi, communities of interest because of possible widespread use of inadequate water plumbing. And so I think that's something that I hope that we can continue that conversation this coming second Saturday. Okay, Julie, add what I've skipped, if anything.
Well, right. I don't know if you skipped anything. Catherine, it was very informal, and I think it was really important. People needed connection and inspiration, and that was really, 2 of our goals we wanted from it, and that happened. Catherine, since it was informal, I don't know what her proper title would be, but she facilitated or moderated it very well and moved everyone along. And
talking head.
Yeah, and Paula did a great job too. It was a real group effort, so it was really nice. And I think that was what was special about it. Catherine was a leader, but not a talking head. So
it was a second Saturday success.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
And one of the things that we pulled in at least one person, one member.
Oh, that was nice.
That hadn't, had been involved in the past, but hadn't, it wasn't being as active as she wanted to be. And it was very clear that this was a key, a key opportunity for her. She was engaged in this. And so we were so thrilled that she participated. Yeah. And so we look forward to her return participation this coming second Saturday. I mean, that to us, and hopefully more, that we will get more of those individuals who may not have been as active in these, these last 12, 14 months, nearly. And so that, I think it was an affirmation for doing this particular project.
Great report. Anything else before we go along? Okay.
10 o'clock, 10 o'clock, come see us on 10 o'clock on March the 13th.
Terrific.
Be there or be square.
All right.
That's right. It'll be hot.
Is that meeting on Zoom?
Okay, folks, we have several people waiting anxiously to report on their activities, and one of those is Chris. When we told you about the Black Chamber of Commerce meeting and all of us being invited to attend, Chris was one of the ones who said she was going to go. So I have asked her to report on that, and you likely have received her written report. But Chris, what can you tell us?
Well, first of all, I only sent my written report to the secretary. I've got my written report here. I didn't realize I was supposed to send it to everybody, but
well, you didn't have to.
Anyway, maybe it's just a procedural thing. Anyway, let me just tell you that here's what I wrote. A few days ago, the Corpus Christi Black Chamber of Commerce invited the League and other community groups and elected leaders via an email invitation, which was received fairly late to put on anybody's calendar, to attend its virtual installation of officers for 21-22. And it was scheduled for Monday night, this past Monday night, March the 1st. I registered to attend. It was a webinar, and there were about 35 participants, as best I could count, in the list. Retiring CEO of the Black Chamber is one of our friends, Sylvia Tryon Oliver. And I hadn't realized that she had served as that president for more than 17 years. And she's decided she's retired from her profession and she needs to retire from the Black Chamber and still stay active, of course. So she spoke for a few minutes and then introduced the new president is Coretta Graham, a local lawyer, current chair of the Nueces County Democratic Party, and a member of Sigma Delta Theta. Most of us know Coretta. She's a former League member who really dropped membership when she started running for public office. But she's very active and really part of that valued partnership that we've always enjoyed. Other new officers, it was a little disorganized and they never published on screen all of the officers, but they were introducing them. So you're trying to match up all these people that are online. But I heard names like Curtis Clark, Dr. Tammy Donaldson Francis, who's a former board member, Priscilla Tryon, Dr. Gloria Scott, Linda Stewart. And I've asked by way of an email to Tammy, would she please send the League the whole list of officers? I found this is an aside, their website has never been really up to date. And so it's really hard to kind of get background information. So I'm hoping she'll send me the new list of officers. Coretta Graham had some prepared remarks. She was very good. She focused on weaving history of the Black Chamber and current stuff and in the future. And her theme was preserve, protect, and build the Black Chamber. She wants the group to continue to support Black-owned businesses locally and community engagement. State Representative Todd Hunter, one of our members, was asked to install the officers and he did so. And that took about 45 minutes and then they were going to show a video and I needed to hop off. But President Ann, I enjoyed being there on Zoom with the Black Chamber group. And that's my report.
Chris, thanks so much. And some of you will remember and some not perhaps that when all of the Black Chamber's programs were canceled last fall, I invited them to attend our meetings. And I know that quite a number of them did. And so we will work to keep that relationship going and perhaps do some more cooperative things. Was anyone else tuned in there?
If I can make a comment, I wasn't able to attend on Monday night, but I did go on YouTube yesterday, maybe, because I wanted to see if they had uploaded the video and didn't find that. However, I did find something called the Corpus Christi African American Voices group, which is which I guess formed last fall. And they were conducting candidate forums to get Black voices involved. And so I think that might be an interesting group to contact. Tina Butler is involved with that. I saw in an article.
Great.
And I believe she attended one of our meetings, spoke at one of our meetings. So,
Yeah.
so that, you know, there's not like all these groups doing candidate forums. It would be nice if we could like combine, you know, candidates schedules fill up really quickly. So anyway, something to kind of ponder for the future.
Good. Anyone else? Well, thanks for sharing that as well. They did have candidate forums earlier on, and they took smaller numbers of people and did that smaller number each of several weeks, as I recall. And that collaboration could be a really good thing for them and us. So, Paul, let's see, you have that on your list for the new year?
On my list, my ever-growing list.
Yes, absolutely. You're in the trenches now. We've got you. So, and we're delighted that we do. All right, and I want to talk to you about Sean Flanagan, and I sent out an email asking for responses, and I got a lot back fast, and I talked to a couple of people who are working with this election integrity program, and then I emailed with Sean and so forth, and I canceled asking any of them to speak today to talk with us about ideas and what they were doing. I told them we just did not have time in our agenda because we have a very full agenda. But in relative to what, and I did not respond to all of you who sent things, and some came after I sent my message to others. So let me just say, I told them that our board was not interested, basically was not interested in working with any collaboration, but some of our members would likely be attending their meeting March 10th, and they would be attending as individuals and developing the interest on their own. Basically, that's what I said. So, and I sent a copy of my response to you. So if someone didn't get that and you want to see what I said to him, then, I can share, or you can talk to another board member, one of the other board members, and they can share. I really appreciated I think it was a no holds barred kind of responses. And I'm so grateful for all of you who did respond and had so much to say. We also had some people who questioned why we would not, and I've not tried to respond to them. And so anyway, it just seemed better at this time to not bring them in and have them part of our meeting, but to let them know that there are individuals interested and that we were sharing the information about there being a meeting so that those who wanted to attend could. So we're not moving forward at this point with any of that. We'll see if anyone brings anything back to us relative to that. Now, before we move on to our vice president's reports, I want to go back to our minutes. So Liz, are you ready to talk about minutes?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Do you want me to do the roll call? And I know there was a question on the minutes about the number of members, whether it was 99
Yes.
or 100. So I need some guidance. What would you like me to do?
Well,
I think
we
we
want
can.
to be sure.
Yeah, can't we do the members, the participants just off the participant list, Anel? Yep, you're muted, Anel.
I think what Liz is looking for is the membership, correct?
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Roll call for the board. We have that to do. So,
yes.
So what?
Okay.
Sandra,
If you have the roll taken, then she won't call names. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm let me get this numbers locked down, and then I'll do the roll real fast. What we had was Sandra said there were 99 voting members, but when we did the calculations where they had 86, 11, 1, and 2, it came out to 100. So what are we working off of? And I'll make the correction. Is it 99 or 100?
Since Sandra is not here, I'm just going to let you know that she and I worked through the list
Okay.
this yesterday and again this morning. And
Okay.
she may be better equipped to answer that that question.
Okay.
We did make some corrections. And so I don't know whether she's got that all entered and whether she'll have that information for you, but that's who you need to get that information from.
Okay,
All
so
right.
should I just, oh, okay, well, let me ask this. Should we just table this on the minutes being approved for February until we can get this number locked down? Or do y'all want to approve it with the two different numbers of 199? What would you like to do, y'all?
As your president, I would say that we do not approve the minutes, and we will bring it up next month, and we'll look for that correct number at that time.
Okay, okay, let me get this down. Minutes not approved. Okay. Due to numbers. Okay. Okay, all right. Now, okay, I'm ready for roll call. So if y'all can unmute real fast or wave your hand at me. Ann Stewart?
Yes.
Anel?
Here.
Julie?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Paula?
Yes.
Here. Debbie?
I'm here.
I see Debbie. Victoria? Catherine, I saw Catherine, there she is.
Yes.
Sylvia?
Whitworth
Here.
I saw her earlier.
I'm here.
Okay, Raul,
I'm
I
here.
saw him earlier. Okay, Alice, I saw her. I know Sally, I see Sally. Sandra is definitely here. Peggy, I saw her earlier.
I'm
And
here.
Kristen, okay, and Chris
Can you hear
Garcia.
me?
Yes, and Chris Garcia, who I know is here. Okay. All right, so that's the role. And then as guests or visitors, we have Sally, who's a head of the water committee. And then Ruth, I saw Ruth pop up. Christy Stockman, I see her, and Sylvia Campos popped in. So that's who I have as attending.
All right. Thanks
Okay.
so much for doing that.
I'm here too.
Okay, so what else do you need from me?
Liz, did you see Linda Snyder? It just said she's here. Linda Snyder.
No, but I'll put her down. Thank you.
Okay. She's from the study committee as well.
Right, the water. Yeah,
and
the
I
water
think
group.
Christy Stockman is with the nominating committee.
Okay, all right. I just put them down as guests, or I don't know. Okay, I'll figure it out.
That's fine. That's fine. Any
Okay.
other questions about minutes or roll today, folks? Okay, let's
So
move
I
to our
think
vice
I think
president.
I'm done.
Okay.
Am I done?
Yes, you're done. You're done.
Okay, all right. I'll mute and let y'all go. Okay.
All right. Vice presidents. Sandra, let's do you first. No, Sandra?
I think
Okay,
she's
let's go to
meeting-
Paula.
All right.
Plumber.
Yeah, she's plumbing. Plumbing is a big issue these days. All right. So the Voter Services of Texas held a meeting on the 23rd. There's a spreadsheet that they sent out to all the people who were on the call. They're looking for information from election officials. The number of registered voters, vote by mail ballots sent, vote by mail ballots received. And I would like to know why they were rejected if they kept that information.
Mhm.
Provisional ballots cast, provisional ballots rejected, and why rejected. And I think another question that they didn't have on the spreadsheet, but another one that would be important to ask is number of people turned away at the polls and why they were turned away. So, okay, so those were the questions asked. So I sent an email to Kara kind of earlier because I knew that these types of questions would be asked. So I sent it before the polar vortex, and then I waited after the polar vortex and haven't heard anything. And I tried calling multiple times, and not only does nobody pick up at the office, but the operator doesn't work either. So I left a voicemail. So maybe one day that connection will be made, and we will find out we will find out how much of this information they actually collect. Okay, on to other things. Stephanie Swanson, the redistricting chair for WTX, requested 1 or 2 members from each league to participate in a community redistricting organizations working for democracy crowd academy training March 10th through 12th. So the Southern Coalition for Social Justice offers this training to equip individuals and organizations with tools to monitor and engage with redistricting processes at every level of government, spot warning signs, and take action if decisions are likely to infringe on the right to an equal opportunity to participate in elections. Okay, so because I'm that kind of busybody, I signed up and I forwarded the information to Elisa Gonzalez, and she's also signing up because this is an interest area of hers. And if anybody else knows of anybody who is in a community of interest or would like to attend, let me know. If they can't, if they can't host more members, I'm happy to hop off. I'm certainly not, I don't feel myself to be a community, of interest, but I just have an interest. So
that's great. Do you remember just to who we should get in contact with on that too? And she said three people is good. Stephanie did in that meeting, but when Catherine was talking about the member who joined us that we hadn't seen in a while on Second Saturday, that was her area of interest as well.
That's a good point.
Okay. And she's a community of interest. Because y'all know more. Catherine, wasn't she like a Kingsville kind of? But she would Gloria
Montalvo. She was I believe a professor or a teacher, and that's right. Thank you. That's right, Chris. That's right. She's a counselor. And so she would be an excellent person. And I will tell you, I was so thrilled that she participated. And I think that's a good idea, Julie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up.
So if somebody could send me her contact information, I'll be happy to forward that email to her.
Sure. I'd be happy to, Paula.
Okay, super.
Paula, do not remove your own name. Keep that in there.
Well, just in case a bunch of people from other communities of color, interest want to do it, I'm happy to attend, happy not to attend.
So,
anywho,
just I want to add one more word, and I'll not interrupt you again.
No worries.
Your leadership position puts you in a prime spot to be there and working with these 2 people who are newer to the organization, and they can use you as the great mentor of the Western world, and you can work together as a team so effectively. Please keep that in mind and do that. You're perfect for the job, and I think it's part of your job description to do that.
All righty. I will take that. I will take that under advisement, Anne. All righty. So regarding school board elections, Agua Dulce and Port Aransas will not be holding elections as the incumbents are running unopposed. Port Aransas has 1 contested place, number 7, and 3 unopposed places, 1, 2, and 5. And so Catherine is populating Vote 411 with candidate information. Catherine, do you want to say anything about that at this time?
It's Aransas Pass.
Sorry.
Yeah, Aransas Pass is having a school board election, but
I said that twice, didn't I? Port
Aransas has canceled their election.
Okay. This whole Port Aransas and Aransas Pass, it just throws me for a loop. Okay, so I will make that correction. And so I have a query. So we've been talking about you know, how to get a little more involved in the high schools, and one idea that floated out was, should we send out an email to local social studies, history, civics teachers, inviting them to join the league?
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Well, that
Yes.
can't hurt anything for sure.
And also I would do it for middle schoolers too. My son is teaching, is teaching Texas history and US history in the middle school. And he said that he feels that is really the time we need to grab those kids to get them interested in voting. And so I think we shouldn't just concentrate on the high school, do the middle school too.
Okay. All right.
I agree. Yes.
All right. So Raul, at one point last fall, had given me the contact information for the person at Corpus Christi. So I'll send that email out, and then we'll go from there. Raul, anything you want to add about voter services?
No, really nothing significant to add. We're still waiting to get out to do voter registration, but I do have contacts. I think a pretty vibrant list for regional high schools, Nueces County high schools. And so, yeah, I can certainly provide any of that information that you need.
Okay, super. Thank you. And that concludes my bit of the information.
Great. What questions anyone has? Questions? Great report. Okay, next Vice President, please. Julie, are you on?
I am. It takes me a minute to unmute. All right. Hello, everyone. I will try to be expeditious with this. We want to start with the calendar for the consensus process in the study committee. So just to think of it as a calendar that's going to help us to complete the lead and water study before our new year begins. The study committee and I met, everything's a blur. Was it earlier this week, I believe? So we met and we agree that for the health of the women and children in our community and for the health of the organization, it's important to accomplish the consensus process and possibly a position before the annual meeting. Such an accomplishment will inspire our members to participate and engage on the issues, as well as cultivating good faith in our organization. And we really think we can pull this off with this calendar. On March 18th, that's our next membership meeting, we have rescheduled the water utilities. They're able to speak to us from 11:30 to noon. So that's great. We are gonna, when we introduce them, make sure that our attendees know that they are there to discuss the water quality, specifically lead and water, and we're not gonna go off on tangents about the polar vortex, as Paul would say. We want to make sure that they're respected. They've worked so hard. Not that we would disrespect them, but they're not there to talk about that. So water utilities is speaking from 11:30 to noon. And then I conferred with Annette and the study committee to get some ideas of how we could have enough of a meeting and enough member engagement to really hear from everyone. And after when I gave the study committee some of my suggestions, we all decided that what Annelle had suggested is the best way to go, and I've conferred with her and Ann on it. And that would be for our membership meeting on the 18th, after the water utilities, we would have a longer meeting for the consensus process and stretch it out. And Annelle is amenable to that. So I have on our calendar that the water utilities 11:30 to noon, and then the study committee from noon to 1:30. And of course, we might need to sandwich some league, I call it league-like business, in between the two speakers. So the next good news is we have so many great resources, as evidenced by the conversation already. Debbie talking to the state about Club Express, and I've been able to talk to Janet Imhoff along this journey to get advice on the consensus process. And she just reassures us that it's meant to be informal. It should be a really good exercise for us. It's really to encourage discussion, and she knows we're going to be really good at it. The things that are the most important for it is to have a good discussion leader, and then we need to have a recorder and a technical advisor. So we are really lucky that we have probably the best discussion leader that we could get, and that's Linda Snyder. That's some really good news. I'm gonna be a recorder, and that we were gonna use the chat box. I'll confer with Anel more on that. They suggest that if we were meeting in person, we'd have a flip chart and we would kind of chart up what everyone's saying, because what people feel and say will go to the board, and we'll base our positions on that. I also recommended to them that we make sure to hear from at least 30 members. That's a third of our membership, because the goal of the consensus process is engagement and participation. At the last Facts and Issues, we have 43 people participate, so I think they can get that. If we can't get the 30, we will do some telephoning, but we also already know we want to do this, and it involves an email blast, and just send out the consensus questions and get feedback from that. And that will get us through consensus on March 18th. That would let the study committee on March 27th would be their deadline to send a draft statement for the position or positions. And I will have a member participation report so the board can review that before our next meeting on April 1st. On our April 1st meeting, I would suggest that we present we discuss the member participation report and the draft position statement, and vote on a position statement, so that we have that all done before our May meeting. I think that is a really important part. We can't really do anything in April because we've got a great speaker and a really necessary speaker already scheduled, and we do need to be able to make sure to have time for business. So that's the calendar. Do we have questions on that? All right. Not seeing questions. If
Catherine?
not, yes.
Julie, I'm
please.
sorry. Julie, it's
No.
Liz Riggle. Would you send me a synopsis or a summary of what you just stated, please? Like you've done so wonderfully in the past. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for everything you do. So Linda, Sally, do you all have anything to say?
Only that we're a little bit breathless at the rate you're moving. We're going to keep up with you.
Well, we got to get this done, and we all know that at the next meeting, what can happen is if we have people for suggestions from our members on a study, we would take that on, and we'll make sure we get it done. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, and I did want Linda to speak to this. She's going to do a great job leading it. She did wonder, like, at the end, what am I able to tell people what we're going to do next? And we brought this up at the last board meeting. There was a suggestion from the study committee, myself and President Ann, that we have a standing committee, transition the study committee to a standing committee. And that was a suggestion. We've never had a motion on it. So at this meeting, what I wanted to do was make sure we know that the Lead and Water Study Committee should transition to a role that lets them continue to educate, research, and advocate on the issue, and possibly other issues relating to public health. And this could be done by forming a committee on public health. At the last meeting, we suggested a committee on public health and water quality. I've advised that we do a committee on public health because it's more broad, and we don't know what the next studies would be, and it lets people focus on that. The committee could also serve as a resource group and mentor for any new studies, and it would be beneficial for our members to see the growth and development in our organization. So today I would move that we begin forming a committee on public health with Linda Snyder and Teresa Carrillo as co-chairs, and the president and vice president of program as ex officio members. At the next board meeting, we could present to the board the final details on the committee, and that needs to include the responsibilities of the committee chair or co-chairs, the oversight of the committee, committee membership, and committee tasks. And then we could take a final vote on the adoption of committee on public health. If we were to do that today, pass that today, then Linda Snyder could say we're in the process of forming a committee on public health.
This is Sylvia Whitworth. I would like to second your motion on forming the Public Health Committee.
Julie.
Yes.
This is the discussion part. I think I'd like to see this as a formal proposal in text and sent out to all of the board members so that we would have time to understand, get a better grasp on what this committee, this standing committee would do. That's just, I'm a visual person. I need to see the words.
I understand. That's what I'm saying. It really is a process and in the works. And so what I would do is, if this motion passes and anyone else who wants to join us, is meet with Linda, and we would have more words than what I can provide today. I will certainly send out the paragraph, the motion I've just read.
Okay.
But I understand what you need, and I think the whole board does. What I'm asking today is that we go ahead and form the committee, have it be information, and then add the details.
So is that your motion then, to form a standing committee for public health? And then that's what Sylvia seconded?
The motion was we begin forming, and we take a final vote at the next meeting in April. And that we have all that information that's necessary before that written.
So what do I do? Okay, so what are we doing? Should I record it as a motion and a second, or should I just leave that empty? I'm not sure what I need to do.
Well, others can chime in, but I believe it's a motion and a second, because we can't go forward without the approval and we wouldn't go forward without it. I just want to make sure, and we always will make sure, that the board knows what's going on. But the motion is to begin forming the committee.
So Chris has her hand up.
Yeah, I don't have a vote as your immediate past president, but I think we're too premature on this. I'd like to see everything finished with the lead study, the water study first. We have election of officers and a new board coming in, and they're going to spend a lot of time talking about committees and importance of committees. They could certainly receive the recommendation, but I think we're really premature on that. I think we're tying the hands of new officers who may need to see some other things happening. So I just wanted to share that.
Okay. Could I jump in, or can you hear me? Because my internet is broken today, but so I'm on a phone for a change. But it just seems to me that with the length of time that these people have been involved in this study, that the fact that there is the enthusiasm to create a standing committee on public health, I would really like to see that happen. I think we should support them, because they've already said that there are people who would chair this and direct it. And so why don't we back them and let them loose? Because public health is certainly something that the league is behind.
I agree.
And
okay,
I agree.
So Okay, so what do we do now? President in
Julie,
chief, what do we do?
you have a motion and a second on the floor, and you have had discussion, and so you want to bring it to a vote. We don't want to just dispense with it. So you want to bring it to a vote as to whether the board will begin appointing a committee with the recommended leadership and present their findings at the next meeting.
Okay.
Shouldn't that be an amendment to the motion, to amend the motion?
What's your proposed amendment?
Yes.
Does Alice have a?
Well, I was just asking a question. Since there's all this discussion, I think that if we're going to do a vote, it should be amended. The wording should be amended to reflect what everybody is agreeing to.
That we were doing that, but you're welcome to clarify.
Okay, would you like for me to read it again?
Go ahead and read it again, Julie.
No, I'm not going to. I'm trying to follow, but I do believe that we're going to vote that it should be amended to reflect all of the discussion that we've had, rather than to set those people in motion.
Julie, will you restate the motion?
I agree. If I read it, we could see if that is reflected in it or not. We began forming a committee on public health with Linda Snyder and Teresa Carrillo as co-chairs, and the president and vice president of program as ex officio members. At the next board meeting on April 1st, we will present to the board the final details on the responsibilities of the committee chair or co-chairs, oversight of the committee, committee membership, and committee tasks, and take a final vote on adoption of the Committee on Public Health.
That leaves you lots of leeway, Alice.
Pardon?
I said it leaves you lots of leeway for inputting more information, but it gives a structure to move forward. See that we don't lose all the good that came out of this study.
I think, go ahead, Alice, I'm sorry.
I don't have any problem with what she just read, but I kind of got lost in the discussion and the comments. And so having reread your motion, the wording, I'm fine with that.
No, that made sense to everything we've done, but I think Catherine's got something.
I think my concern is more of a procedural concern, because the study and the group that was formed, that has not come to completion yet. And so in terms of seeing and whatever the outcome of the board's vote to bring closure to this study and this program, then to me, it just seems after that has happened would be the appropriate time to suggest a committee that might carry on looking at this issue on a broader scale. But I think, procedurally, and not just because this, this may, in terms of precedent setting, it's almost in my understanding, and this is not to say I'm against the committee, but I think it's a little bit putting the cart before the horse.
I'm not a voting, like Chris, I'm not a voting member of the board, but I've been involved in the process now here a while in honor of what Catherine has just said. You might just simply add a qualifying phrase at the beginning of Julie's motion, which simply says, upon conclusion of the consensus process and dissolution of the study committee, the lead study committee, then pick up with what Julie has proposed, that there be succeeded by a standing committee on public health, subject to the qualifications that will be brought back to the board next month with the details.
Is that acceptable?
Okay, so we're back to my initial question. What do I do? We've got a motion and a second. So should we just withdraw it and wait till April 1st?
I think Sally's making an amendment.
Can you hear me?
Sally's amending the.
I can't do that. I can't amend it because I'm not a member of the board, but that is a suggestion I make from a procedural standpoint to honor Catherine's concerns, because I see the point she's making, that that the motion should anticipate the dissolution of the lead study committee, and that will probably happen with action on that position statement.
Yeah. Right. So
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I would like to go back to what Chris said as well, in that we are 2 months from having not an entirely new board, but several new board members who I think should be able to have some input on this as well. So like Sally said, you know, pursuant to ending the water quality study, we should probably table this for now and then bring it up with because the water study should be coming to a conclusion about the same time that we have a new board. And I just think that these incoming board members are going to have 1 year to 2 years, and I think that they should have a vote in the process. I don't disagree with it either. I think it's a very good plan and a very good idea. But there might be some other suggestions. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
May I say something?
Yes.
Rewrite the motion.
Alice is asking if we can make a motion.
I think we still have something.
A motion to table, I think is what she said.
There's a motion to table that takes precedence, and we'll bring it up next meeting.
Okay, so I need someone to make the motion to table then.
Do we not have to vote on the other motion, or someone
It takes
withdraw?
precedence. We don't have to vote.
Okay.
Not if we're tabling it, I don't think so.
It stops everything.
It stopped it.
It stops everything.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make a motion
so-
to table that discussion until the next board meeting.
Right, so
Okay.
that stops us right there. And it's on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay, so I need
All right.
a second. I need a second.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Tabling,
don't?
when there's a motion to table, it stops everything. So that's that.
Okay, so we stopped.
Yes.
Okay.
All right,
Don't you
so
vote?
moving ahead then.
Excuse me. Am I
Julie,
confused?
anything?
Don't you vote on a motion to table?
No. I think so.
Where's Chris?
Okay.
Hello?
Chris?
I'm not a parliamentarian. Sorry.
Who is our parliamentarian?
Lois is good at that.
Yeah.
Nobody has her hand
I
raised.
thought Sally,
Pardon?
are you the parliamentarian in this meeting?
No, I'm not.
Lawyer.
I'm not a formal parliamentarian, but it would seem that once you have a motion that's been seconded and it is pending, if you're going to not act on that motion, you're going to have to take some procedural steps to do so. And I think that while it's appropriate to entertain a motion to table, if you're going to act on that motion to table, I think you're going to have to, my instincts tell me that you're going to have to vote on it.
Yes,
would
it does
assume
require a
so.
vote. It does require a vote. It's
On
not
the first
debatable.
motion.
on
so what are the-
those motion to table, it requires a second. But
Okay,
it's
so
not,
hold
but it's not open
Hold
to
on,
debate
there was
or
already
open
a
to
motion.
discussion.
There was already a motion. Wait, there's already
Okay.
a motion and a second, and we need to vote on that first.
Okay, then let's vote on that one.
That's parliamentarian.
Okay, this
Okay.
is Liz.
So let's vote.
This is Liz. So let's vote on the one that was to begin forming a standing committee on public health, which Julie motioned, Sylvia second. I need, am I stepping on toes? I need a yay and a nay. So
Does that seem weird? Because if we all just vote
Yes.
no, then why do you have to table it? Then we will have voted no. I think the point of tabling it is to put off the no vote. Is you're putting it off so that you actually vote on it another time instead of now. Because otherwise we're all just going to vote no and then vote to table and then you'll be screwed.
then, okay, then,
Yeah.
then
That makes sense. I don't know parliamentarian stuff, but that makes like logical sense.
That makes sense to me. Yeah, I agree, Debbie.
okay. All right, so we have a motion on the table then from Annelle to stop this motion. So I need a second. Somebody second. Somebody.
Alice raised her hand.
Alice did it. Okay, Alice second. Okay, so then we need a vote. Is that right? Am I stepping on Ann's toes? I'm sorry.
No, honey, you go right ahead. You go right
Okay.
ahead.
Oh, okay, everybody who's in favor of stopping this motion to begin forming a standing committee. of
Tabling.
public-
Tabling.
Table it, I'm
Table
sorry.
it.
Which is different,
Table it, I've got table it down here. Motion to table this motion. Yay.
Yay.
Everybody say yay.
Yay.
Any nays? Okay, do I have a
Nay.
nay?
Who said-
Nay.
Julie's a nay. Okay,
I'm
Julie, and
Sylvia
who else is a
Campos,
nay?
Sylvia Campos, nay.
Okay, so
Thank you,
Sylvia, Campos, and Julie are nays. Okay. And then the ayes. Well, Sylvia, you can't vote. You're not a board member.
Oh, not yet. Sorry.
Yeah, can't vote. Okay, so we have one nay, which is Julie, and everybody else is yes or yay. Okay. All right. Okay, so it passes. So it passed with tabling the motion. Okay. Okay.
Okay, and the other thing on the
I'm
agenda, thank y'all. The other thing on the agenda was just to discuss the annual meeting. I think that Chris has sent us some guidance and suggestion on that. And I've also looked at our bylaws and they conform to the state bylaws as well, of course. And so we know that members can present topics for new studies at the meeting. They do say in the bylaws that they can present them 2 months ahead of time. And I just want y'all to think about that. I raised that before at the last meeting, and Catherine has seen that maybe one thing we could do is do a survey of members, like a members pulse, and that would give us opportunity to see if there's any ideas for new studies too. I just feel like it's pretty clear that members want to participate. That's wonderful. We've got an amazing organization and a lot of people want to do things, and I just want to make sure we have as many ways as possible to hear from them, because if we do the things they want to do, which is what we've been doing, but just keep on increasing it, we'll grow as an organization, and we can get to 200 by the 100th or the 101st anniversary. So the other thing about the May meeting, I did not know a lot about it, so excuse me for that. It was pointed out though that we don't usually have speakers, and I'd already booked a speaker. There's a nuance to that in that she's a professor, and we were able to find her based on good relationships that we have, and I've already asked her to move to from one meeting to another, so I really don't think we should reschedule her unless there's a time conflict. Also, her topic is very, very important, It will be on misinformation and disinformation, and the National League is doing a lot of education on that. So are other leagues. And just as we're talking about starting a new year, I think it's a really good way to start a new year so that people understand we are a non-biased, nonpartisan organization. So I would like a discussion on that, because it's like what we just voted on. I can't go forward if we don't make a decision as a group. So what are we going to do about the May meeting and Dr. Rickoff?
Julie, can we decide on a date? Are we going to do the third Thursday at noon?
For the annual meeting or the member meeting?
For the annual meeting. We usually do, rather than having a regular membership meeting, we have a board meeting at the beginning of May, and then we have our installation and so forth as the membership meeting for May.
Which
So
is the
I'm
annual
asking,
meeting. Mm-hmm.
Is the annual meeting. There are not two, a third Thursday and an annual meeting. It's just one meeting. So what my question is, we can usually shorten the business part, so we could go ahead with the commitment that Julie's made with this speaker and honor that. And in what Chris has shared with us, we usually say about 20 minutes for a speaker. So we could increase that to 30 if we wanted to. Julie, would 30 minutes be good for the speaker, or does she need a whole hour?
30 minutes is good. There's a lot of historical knowledge here too, that y'all know how the meetings usually go. Like, I don't know if they're always at noon. I thought they were. They could be at a different time. So I just need the details so I can reach out to her, but 30 minutes would work.
All right. So we have had lovely dinners and with installation and so forth. But if we're not going to be doing that, we want to do a noon meeting instead, or does everyone want to do an evening meeting? We need to make that help Julie make that decision, and then she can go ahead and work with the speaker.
Catherine and Chris both have their hands up.
I'll defer to Chris.
Well, I've got last year's program booklet, and it was in June. Our annual meeting was in June. I didn't record the time, but I think it was the late afternoon or noontime. I can't remember. Tina Butler did speak at the annual meeting.
It was a noon. It was a noon meeting.
Personnel group at Del Mar, and as I recall, it was 15 to 18 minutes. And in years past, we've had occasionally a speaker. It was a dinner meeting, and I remember Peggy Duran would remember, because we had somebody from the port. We got all of our business done and then had a keynote speaker. I think the key is how much time it takes to do the agenda. And Ann's right, it can move right along, where whoever participates is scripted. There's nothing off the top of your head.
Yeah.
So there's no reason not to have a speaker at the end of the business session. The key would be, do you do a midday or do you do early evening when maybe more members could hop on? That's a decision board.
I think that was my concern, is that it may be, traditionally it has been, except for last year COVID, it has been an evening event. And that, in order to get more, make it possible for more members to participate rather than the noontime. And so that, I agree that, I think the speaker, I honor Julie getting this wonderful speaker, and I think we need to move ahead with that. But I think we could go either way. And I think, the speaker, whatever the speaker's availability is that we should honor that and take care of our business as needed.
I love the idea of a keynote speaker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So Julie, is your speaker locked in to a noontime meeting, or do you know if she'd be available for either way?
Well, based on the direction I get, then I would check with her and see.
Well,
Great.
why don't you check with her and see if she's available for an evening meeting? We'll set it that way in hopes of getting more membership. And then if not, if she's already looking forward to the noon time, then we'll go ahead according with what her availability is. Does that sound okay?
Yes, except for, could you identify the evening time?
What would y'all say? 7? When did we usually do it? 6 or 7?
Well, in person, we always had a gathering time that was about 6 or 6:15. It seems to me, as I recall, we've always kind of started the meeting at 6:30 and be finishing up by 8:30, depending on what kind of reports we're given at the annual meeting and that sort of thing. I think we can tighten all that up. The Black
We could do an
Chambers
hour
meeting
and a
was
half
at
in the
6.
evening.
6. So two possible times for a keynote speaker would be either at noon or at 6.
Or 6:30 after the business session.
Yeah, and Julie, it really wouldn't be at noon, because if we start the meeting at 11:30 and start our annual meeting, it could be as late as 12:20 or 12:30. So the key would be to look at the window.
Yeah, so if we started our meeting at 6, you might want to have the speaker at 7. Does that make sense?
Yes. And what day do we do it? I've heard that it was a Saturday and not the third Thursday.
Can be anytime the board or the planning committee wants to set it. You know, we've had annual meetings that were at 10 in the morning. It was a brunch in happier times when we were all out and about and carefree. You know, it really can be what the board wants.
Okay. When I've communicated with, what she has committed to is noon to 1 on May 20th. That's the third Thursday.
And that's okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Okay.
Then let's keep that. Let's honor
Yes.
our commitment to her. Let's keep that. We'll have her scheduled for, what did you say, May 20th from noon to 1?
Or see if she's available in the early evening from 6 to 7:30. But as Debbie said, she wouldn't come on board till 10 after 7, which may be something she might agree to.
Okay. But it could still be May 20th.
Yes.
I just don't want to
Okay, so we still want to keep
I don't
it-
want to
so
look
still
too
want-
unprofessional and start changing days
No.
on her.
No.
So we still want to keep it at May 20th. We'll keep that date.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, we can make sure that we record the whole thing and we can pull out the parts where she's speaking anyway, so that anybody who can't see it can go, can go look at it anyway. Can go
Sure.
listen here.
Great.
Okay. That's it.
Awesome.
Is that enough?
Yes. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Okay, so that brings us back to Sandra. Vice President, you have some things you want to share?
She's not here anymore.
She's not back on.
She's not
I
here
think her
anymore,
plumber
all
showed
right? I understand that part for sure. Okay, so we're going to move right along. Following our Vice President, who is up? Isn't that Debbie Noble?
Oh, I'm done. I've said enough already.
All right, and Victoria's not here, so we'll move along past that. And Sylvia Whitworth, do you have anything to share today? Nothing from Sylvia.
Okay, now I'm unmuted. I had to unmute first.
I understand.
As archivist, I'm about a year late because of COVID and the library being closed and stuff. But tomorrow I'm going to be picking up materials from Anel Neal and Chris Garcia to go out to the A&M library. Chris Riggle, do you have any old secretary's minutes that need to go out to the archive? All you have is what you've done this year?
Yes, you'd have to talk to the previous secretary about that. So all I have is what I've done. So, yeah.
Okay, so she, yes.
you don't know yet, but your president is going to ask you to compile these 2 years that I've served as your president, and you have been an archivist. I'm going to ask you to compile everything that should go into the archives for these 2 years. And generally, the president does a collection and so forth. But I'm going to ask you to work with me on that so we can get it together. But it doesn't have to go tomorrow with you. It can go a little closer to the finish of our year. Because we'll want these last few meetings, the agendas and the outcome and plans to go forward. So you'll need to make a second trip if you want to take Annelle and Chris's things out tomorrow. Stay right on schedule. But you and I will work together on one folder for the history of these last 2 years.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Moving along, then we are to Peggy Duran. And she has a lot to share. So Peggy, go to it.
I think Peggy might be having audio issues.
Oh.
Her thing says connecting to audio, so.
Okay, well, let's talk just a little bit. I sent you the last update I had until after I sent that to you as to who the nominees were. Paula, do you want to just run through those quickly for us? Some not read all that. The nominees for the new
Okay,
year.
yeah, you bet. So the slate of candidates that we have right now. All right, so for president, Catherine Oler. For VP Member Services, Sylvia Campos, and she has just hopped off, I believe.
She's there.
Oh, is she still here?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
She's the red. No,
Okay.
that's Christi's document. Never mind.
Okay. VP of Voter Services, I'm staying on for another term, but that's it. Unless somebody jumps up at the annual meeting and says they're running, and whatever, we'll deal with that then. Director Debbie Noble for social media. Treasurer Ann Neal, that will be her second term. Director at large Alice Upshaw Hawkins. And then recommendations for other leadership positions. Are we supposed to talk about any other leadership positions right now?
We've added, as I understand it, Teresa Carrillo has been added as a candidate for the at-large position. Is that right? No, Alice was for at-large.
No,
Teresa
I really think we should wait for Peggy's report. Can someone give her a call and see if there's some way she could come online? Because she had a couple of changes this afternoon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Well, you see, I may be last on the list to hear about the changes. So, okay.
Well, nothing's been changed, but she had gotten a couple of calls from somebody. So, I would rather she give her report.
Yeah.
Well,
it looks like Peggy is trying to connect.
Well, this is just about the last thing on our agenda. Other than to remind you about getting whatever you want to have printed in the voter into Chris, because she wants it all by Monday. Peggy. So that's what our big announcement. Is Peggy back on? All right. Well,
I hear a little voice.
I think she's talking. I think she called in and it's now.
Yes. It shows you as connecting to audio, but it's been that way for a few minutes now. Do you want to try getting out and getting back in?
Well, we're at 5:30, which is our stopping time. What do you think, Annelle? What are you hearing?
That was Peggy. Her internet has gone down. She's going to try getting out and coming back in and see if that helps.
All right.
Yeah, I guess it's their neighborhood.
I'm sorry.
Well, anyway, so Peggy wrote back to me and said that Teresa Carrillo was going to be taking over the nominating committee. Now, please understand, we're giving.
Peggy is on now, Ann.
Video.
There she is.
Peggy, while you were doing your research there, or technical work, we had Paula give us a list of all the candidates that you and the nominating committee have brought forward. And we got down to Teresa Carrillo for chairman of the nominating committee.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that Peggy's, she briefly appeared as a picture, but now she's off and it still says connecting to audio. So I think maybe we'll just table this discussion for our April meeting.
We will bring all the nominees to you. And I believe that as the committee had left it, Teresa was going to find 2 members to work with her on the committee. And then, assuming Catherine is elected president, when she has her first board meeting, she will ask for 2 board members to serve on the nominating committee. One other thing you might want to be aware of, if you've not looked at the rules lately, is that our archivist serves 1 year at a time. Sylvia has been very generous with her time and has been willing to take on that job for 3 years, and that's the limit. Our bylaws say 3 is it. So, as I understand them. So she'll not be doing that, but Catherine, and assuming she is elected, and the new board will be filling some spots. And so you can look at all of that and get refreshed on it and then bring questions next time. Anyway, is there anything else anyone wanted to bring up today at our board meeting?
I would like to add that Lois Huff has agreed to continue as the chairperson for the Centennial Committee.
Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Peggy. I got back in.
Hey.
So let's see. Yeah, our spectrum is down in our neighborhood, and so I've been trying to just, this is my first time by phone on Zoom, so got cut out of it after my 40 minutes or whatever. But let's see. We do have a recommendation, which is that the new board possibly considered apprenticeships for positions, and seeing if we can get people to understand more about how the board works and bring more people in so that we can have people ready to go. It will help Teresa Carrillo when she picks up this position to see just, that we've got people who are preparing for future work on the board, because it does take a while to learn everything that our jargon, as well as our, how the protocols for doing things in the league. And did you mention when I was off the phone that Victoria did resign?
No, I hadn't heard that.
Okay, I spoke with Victoria, and there have just been too many conflicts time-wise with her job as a realtor, and she wants to continue working with the league and respects the league. She's been out there with voter registration in the past regularly, but we do have 2 volunteers, and our committee is going to meet next week to talk about them, and so that we have someone to pick up on Victoria's position as Director of Media Services. Okay. And that concludes the report.
Oh, excellent. Perfect timing, Peggy. All right. Any questions, anyone?
We do still have Chris on the agenda, right? Chris Garcia?
Well, I just before I'm working on the March voter for this. I've got stuff starting to lay out. Debbie Noble sent a couple of stuff. Ann's already alerted me what's coming in from her. I'll have Peggy's report, but Julie, you're making page 1 all the time with the voter, so I'll anticipate your story. Paula, maybe an update on anything that you and Catherine have gone on websites and other conferences. Those are good stories. And anyone else who has a story.
Chris,
Need it by Monday night, March the 8th.
Chris, expect something kind of out of the unusual. We're out of the usual. We're going to do part of our consensus education through the true false through a true false teaser. This was the last part of the consensus questions that were true false. Sandra especially was interested in the answers to them, but the committee has prepared those questions with a kind of a banner like our colossal consensus true false challenge. And we just about put the finishing touches on that, and we'll be sending it to you within the next 48 hours. And we hope that you'll be able to make good use of it.
That's great. I'll look forward to getting it.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Did I mention that this is Peggy Duran, and did I say that Teresa Carrillo will be the chairman of the nominating committee for next year?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Good.
It's terrific. Yeah. Okay. Anything else now? I don't want to shut anybody off. Thanks, everybody. You've been great. What a wonderful meeting. And thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the 18th. Is that right? Is that right?
Yes. The 18th. Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Second?
Thank
you. Do you have those names, Liz?
Who second? Who is that?
Alice Hawkins.
Who's second?
Alice Hawkins
Alice
is
did.
seconding.
Okay, Alice, I've got Alice.
Thank you. So moved and seconded, we adjourned. Those in favor, aye. I know you like to vote.
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Okay. No opposition. There we are. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
For me.